All right. So we are live. Thank you for like last minute too coming up, but I told you why, and it needs to happen. It can be documented, and people can always go back and refer to it. So just getting into it. How are you today? Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. Yeah, I've been pretty good. I'm mostly just recovering from surgery, so I've
Wow.
been in bed a lot.
Yeah. Surgery though?
hmm
Oh damn. Was it like critical?
No,
Okay.
yeah, it was just like a minor correction for something that
Okay.
causes me pain when I walk. So
Gotcha. Oh, been
hopefully,
there. I've been there.
yep.
Yeah. 4 times foot surgery, and then every time it was bipedal. They
Okay.
wouldn't just do one foot at a time. Yeah. So been there. Been there.
Yeah, so you
Whew.
were in the wheelchair. You didn't even get the crutches.
Man. Yeah. Right. Oh, what universe? Them they don't care. They're like suck it up. This emotion. Go back to work. No, they give you like was it convalescent leave? And it depends on the severity of your operation, but yeah, been there, done that. Logan said there's an echo from you. Let me see. How's that?
Oh, that's much better.
What about now? Put a thumbs up or something in the chat. But either way, moving on into it. Like, are you okay? Do you feel okay? Thanks, Logan.
Yeah, I've been feeling a lot better. So healing
That's
is
what's
going
up.
well.
Well, I'm glad y'all are trickling in. I got Lily here. If you guys don't know, I'm going to let her introduce herself and what she is doing, which I think is amazing for the hobby. And I want to take this opportunity to go into some dialogue. Jorge, what's up? You found us. We breadcrumbing. We're going to explain. And we'll go from there. So, Lily, if you would introduce yourself. I want to say thank you in advance for coming and explain what you do. And feel free, the floor is yours. And then we'll kind of go from there.
All right, I feel like the people who are watching this stream generally have a pretty good idea of who I am. Um,
You never know.
yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Lily from Lil Theology. Oh, he's gone. Okay, and I've been working on a project to create a community-run database for keeping information on the different species that we keep in the hobby. So one of the things that I noticed when I was doing a lot of research in the beginning is that there's a lot of different websites where you can get your information, but you kind of have to cross-check between them, and then for a lot of them, it's been some time since they've been updated. So the goal of the database that I recently released is to create almost like a Wikipedia for fish, where something is constantly being monitored by the community, edited by people who have the most knowledge, and then visited by people who are trying to learn. And have that be all in one place so people don't have to create their own websites to share the information that they know. This is part of a larger project for freshwater conservation. We've been working with a couple of different elementary, middle, and high schools to kind of get fish tanks in there. And I'm currently working with a university team, actually from my university, to create modular hydroponic and aquaponic systems to kind of get more of that exposure to growing your own food and understanding how everything kind of depends on each other during that cycle. So that's like a brief recap of my projects. The database is the main one right now. I'm trying to get people to start using it and input photos and information about the species that they keep or that they know about. There aren't any restrictions. So one of the pieces of feedback that I've gotten is that it's a little intimidating to be the first person to share information, especially if you don't consider yourself an expert. But the whole point of the Wikipedia structure is that no one person needs to know everything or have a perfect picture. It's just to gradually build that information so we can have a more complete picture based off of lots of different people's thoughts and opinions. Where did he go? Am I running this live stream on my own now? What do you guys want to know?
No,
Okay, Vibes
I'm
is here.
listening.
You're back. Okay.
No, I never left. So like part of getting better is being better, and they don't want to hear me, my love. They want to hear you. So I'm just being real. But this is awesome because once I get started, it's over. So I will ask you another question and let you continue. I'm not even going to put my icon up. The open source thing resonates deeply. The people being intimidated by not being an expert resonates deeply. If you can expound on that and explain that it is open source and why it's open source.
Yeah, so okay, that's kind of a tough question to answer, but if I were to just go ahead and take a stab at it, the reason that it's available to everyone and it's free, there's no paywalls, there's no subscriptions, is because I was tired of information being withheld or not preserved properly. So I'm in a lot of Facebook groups. I'm sure that a lot of you guys are in a lot of fish Facebook groups. That is one of the main platforms for this hobby.
Right?
And information gets lost really quickly. So you'll see somebody, an expert, will chime in and say, I have this species, I know a lot about it, and I'll answer some questions on this thread. And then, a few months later, the thread is gone. Or you'll have a beginner ask the same question 4 times in a fish group because that information also gets lost relatively easily. Or for, sickness identification, sometimes that can take over and then get lost and then take over and get lost. So there's some like this impermanence that kind of perpetuates the hobby. And that's one of the main reasons for the database, is so we can keep everything in one place. And so we can refer back to it and we can build on it. So we don't have to continuously start from the first step.
So one of the things you just said was impermanence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really why I was like, man, you got to come on here so we can expound on this conversation. The whole reason I'm even on YouTube, like I'm a tourist, a veteran, like no, I don't do people like that. That's why I have all these damn animals and stuff. It's because I wanted to make a digital time capsule, if you will, and a resource for the people so that as long as we got electricity, they can plug up something and see, like, this is what replaces the photo album with the Polaroids in it from the 80s, So that impermanence part, I think that's the key because of the nuance in it. So,
yeah, just to cut in, you'll hear me say this example several times, but I actually interviewed a lot of smaller fisheries and hatcheries, both in Colorado and out of Colorado. But their main method of communication right now is like personal emails. So one person will email another person for a whole organization, and they'll email an Excel spreadsheet that never gets shared. But then another thing is they found a trick to increase hatch rates by like 5 or 10%, something negligible, right? And it took 2 years for that to get halfway across the country. And so during that time, they could have had their hatch rates increase and have better outcomes with better communication. But instead, they were doing their own research, trying some of the same things that other people have tried. And the most important part of this database is sharing what has not worked. There's a bias where people only want to share what has worked because they want to show that they're successful. They don't want to say like, oh, I lost a tank of fish and this is why. It's really hard to make to share that information. But that's the most important information because otherwise people end up repeating that. And then they make the same mistake that could have been prevented had one person shared, hey, this didn't work at all.
So this is a good point you bring up. And that is, y'all, the bottleneck in information. And I have stressed this on my entirety on social media, like just in life, of you have too many different people doing the same thing, making the same damn mistakes because you have ego, arrogance, and hubris in the way, and you pair that with an egregious amount of misinformation, and you have this shit Sunday that we call the aquarium hobby paired with social media. So once we can destigmatize data collection, right? Science, to where it's not personal, and we have this viable resource, if you will, to catalog data, like what you said, share what does not work. But people don't. There's a caveat to that, and it's ridicule. Shame is what makes people reluctant to share what doesn't work, because we're not looking from it from an aspect of growth. We're looking at it from an aspect of, I don't want to be eviscerated by the fish police because X, Y, and Z. And I think, like, well, there's no thinking to it. I can't justify the insanity because, in the same breath of air, they revere and damn near deify people who do that shit like once a week for views, you know? And I don't understand it, because there's entertainment and then there's growth. And it's something that me and Jorge, we always talk about on the show, is this is a hobby. And you have to remember that. Like, that's what hobbying is. And the tinkering is kind of like how you put your stamp on a stew. You know, everybody knows the basic framework of what a stew is, but sometimes you don't have that in your pantry and you throw in what you got. It might be a flop, it might be a delicacy. You never know. But the recipes that taste good obviously taste good because we still follow them to this day. And this is where you come in with this call to action, boots on the ground, doing it. If you build it, they'll follow. So now it's my responsibility. Jorge got me on this whole put your money where your mouth is type shit. I think he did that on purpose, like trying to groom me, because he already know I'm like an advocate, if you will, and I'm action oriented. Like, if it don't make sense, if the math ain't mathing, I'm not gonna do it. I'll be like, no, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. So it's more than one example of what can be done, and what we, you know, where you can put your energy. With the keeping the baby duck analogy. You remember that analogy I said when you were on last year?
Yeah.
Like,
It's hard to believe that was only a month ago.
I know, right? Reader's Digest version, y'all, if you haven't heard it, it's real simple. Somebody gets a fish, they go to Google, they type in that fish, bunch of videos come up on YouTube. They click them, they watch them, they are imprinted. They have just been hatched as a baby duck. They look up and they say, you're my mama. And they grow attached to these YouTubers. And even though the duck develops juxtaposed of whatever that YouTuber is doing, because they've been imprinted by that YouTuber, they defend stuff that shouldn't be defended vehemently, and they develop almost a cult-like adoration for these individuals away from the science, and I'm gonna just say it, common sense, like just literal common sense, you know. And I said, what if, right? What if there was a place for people to go on the internet where there was sound, valid information that was objective? Zero emotions. This is just science. It's empirical data. It's hard facts. I don't care how you feel about me. I don't care about your inferiority complexes. Don't get me fucked up with how you feel about the facts, because that's what they are. Like, how you feel about me is separate, but these are the facts, my love. So what if there was that place, right? And then boom, 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 we end up running across you, like Dr. Anthony, just all that stuff happened. It was the universe. And so that's the baby duck analogy of, well, there is no place on the internet where hobbyists can distinguish themselves away from motherfuckers who just got fish that's on the internet, because they are not one and the same. The nuances, right?
I think there's also a lot of people on social media who do the extremes, right? The things that get you attention on social media are the extremes. So when you're looking at a lot of the common fish YouTubers, they have 600 tanks, right? Or they have very rare species, or they're doing something unique that is not really feasible for a lot of hobbyists. And so having a place where people can also just say, hey, I have 355 gallons, or I just have a 10-gallon, or I really put my heart and soul into this aquascape, but it didn't turn out great. Like having a place like that where you can share almost normal people experiences, I think is just as important, because social media, regardless of whether it's people influencers, fish influencers, whatever you might follow, it does a really good job of distorting what normal is and what are realistic expectations for yourself.
No, I agree. Me and Jorge did an episode on that, and like dead ass, it was based off a meme, and it was that meme where they was like, YouTube be like, and then reality, or Instagram versus reality, that whole meme, and it was about managing your expectations, social media versus reality, and what's feasible, what's possible, more importantly, what's sustainable, what's not. And it's emotion. I mean, we are not genetically inclined as sentient beings, like the collective. We're not genetically inclined to be, immune to a good old fashioned shunning. We don't want to be shunned. Like, God forbid, you can die from being rejected from the herd, It's the mental illness that's prevalent globally shows that. So I think the normal part comes from us putting the humanity back in the internet and showing people that it is a hobby and you're gonna kill fish, and let's not sensationalize this as much. And maybe if we had a collective purpose, flexing wouldn't matter, because now we ants, we termites, we are a colony insect that can do wonderful things together. There's a thing on my website. I got a blog. It's called The Ant. You should read it. Well, fine. Let's read it together. And I mean, it's true if you think about it, right? What if we could cut out the middleman, which is emotional efforting, right? And just get to work. Like, I think that would be really cool. We could get a lot more done.
Yeah. I also think it's important to realize that not everyone has to contribute to conservation, but everyone has to be at least a little bit educated on the fish that they're keeping.
Right.
One of the projects down the line I want to do is actually like a care course, and then partner with some of the bigger stores. So whoever's completed the care course on that particular species gets 3% off, 5% off, whatever it might be, because one specifically targeting betta fish. So obviously betta splendens is not anything that's endangered. It's not at risk. It doesn't even exist in the wild. But I think Petco, PetSmart, can do a lot better Not to call them
That's
out
so
directly,
cool. I think you did it on purpose.
but
When I was in the DR, man, there was embellished, right? Spoiler alert. And it's coming. I got the footage. I'm gonna build to a nice crescendo. That's what we're doing with this thing. Because I want it to stick, right? So we gotta build a good foundation, a good solid foundation. But yes, you're exactly right. Like betas are a great example. You know? So just to get people on that trajectory, that pathway of thinking, of correlating the hobby to it's like what we're actually doing, you know? So yeah, if you want to expound on that, I got this blog here. I'm going to get it queued up. Here we go. I don't know if y'all can see this. Let me know.
we cannot see anything yet.
Let's see here. Share screen. This one here. All right, can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to leave it there. And I'm going to jump to this part and highlight it. Right there. I'll read that. So, I was sitting on the couch. I wrote this years ago, man. Like, for real, 2016-ish, I think. I finally got the balls to post it. Whenever I did. But it was like the whole thing of YouTube, like social media, it was getting to me. It started getting to me early, like 2000. Man, it was 2008. I ain't even gonna lie. It was 2008, and Caradinia shrimp were all the rage in Taiwan, obviously, and Far East, but they were starting to trickle into Europe. They had made it to Europe, and they were coming to the States. And like one King Kong was like $800, and I was like, and I'm not gonna start saying like the different types because it's not about that, but like, whoa, mind blown. I saw where it was going. Bless you. I
Thank
saw
you.
where it was going back then, and I said this before on a previous stream. I always kind of been like a geography, political type nerd. And if y'all remember around that time, Myanmar, and Burma changed names but stayed the same place because of some political stuff. And there was an influx of cool fish in the hobby that, thank God, because of the hobby, because they went back to fighting again, they're staples. Hell, we're well water raising them some bitches in Florida now. The Suelians, the CPDs, all these different fish that were coming from over the Borneo suckers, right? And it was cool because like it felt so good to be able to like correlate them two things together in real time when I saw the CPDs and the Barrera species in the pet store, and they were so rare that they weren't for sale. They were still in the display. And I was like, dude, where did you like? And then everything was clicking. I was like, oh, whatever, they're fighting, whoop de whoop. And you know, that part right there is driven by money. That's how them fish got over here. What if it was driven by money plus us right here, which is what has made like the fish tube echelon of YouTube so damn successful, and that's everybody wanting to be the first or the best, flexing. So like take that same energy, right? And remember that it's a hobby. Iron sharpen iron, and remember that we all dumbasses because it's a hobby. We're all work in progresses because we've never done it before. Some have done it longer than others, but y'all noobs Man, what Jay Watt said. I told him straight up. I said, look, boy, I ain't never seen nobody turn no damn 40 breeder into a fish tank. And then I seen all these cats with these cichlids and shit in their basement on YouTube with 40 breeders and spawn field. And I said, the hell? They really is turning these 40 breeders into fish tanks. To me, a 40 breeder had always, and I said had because I turned one of them into a fish tank too, or two of them, no cap. But historically, that was always for herbs, for lizards. I never would put fish in a damn 40 breeder, but people started doing it. The Petco and the other one, the dollar gallon sale hit, and it's a new thing. And you know what? Why not? It's a cool little footprint to play with for a fish tank. I'd rather enjoy it as a fish tank. Don't know why I didn't do it sooner. But it's little stuff like that. What if, right? We started interjecting the right stuff. You know what I'm saying? Well, subjective, that word right, but I would say more impactful. So I'm going to go back to this thing. Let me make it bigger. Can you see that? So, like this part right here about ego, right? This. Like, look at ants. And like, I'm saying, I admit that my ego has gotten the best of me plenty of times. And my ego is telling me right now to minimize that confession by saying, but everyone else has an ego too, right? And what does any of this have to do with nature? Well, everything. Because we try to control nature, but nature really controls us. Like, it's human nature to have an ego. That's why we're sentient. That's why we know we have one. But nature itself has no ego. Like, and it is a quasi philosophical rant, but the best thing I can say, let me turn this off, is which one's the bastard? You know? The baby zebra, you know, that gets killed. So, like, is the lion the bastard because she killed that mama's baby? Or when those little lion cubs come out of the reeds over there and eat when they're starving? You know what I'm saying? Like, so who's the jerk? Or is it the circle of life? You feel me? So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no ego. So back to like this whole thing of where you're at with the database is being able to correlate to the viewers, right? To everybody, how to do it if they wanted to. Like that part. Because we done said a lot, but ain't said nothing. If they want to go on there and do it, what you want from them? What you want to see? How they got to do it?
I think it'd be really interesting to almost build off of that, to have people at least be aware of their ego, but also to use that. If people are going to have an ego anyways, I feel like it's important to kind of use that. And that's why I have you can put your name on the information that you submit to the database, or you can leave it out. So the people who are maybe beginners and who don't necessarily want their names attached to it don't have to. But the people who are working with a particularly rare species or who are proud of the work that they're doing can also be proud of it. So there is definitely a balance to not let your ego dictate your progress, in saying that sometimes you are going to be wrong and you do have to put your ego aside, right? Is what you were saying. Like, don't let it control you. But also feeling that sense of accomplishment and sharing that with other people, I think, is also a really valuable way to keep people in the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. See, that's why I presented that to you. Like, it's like getting a hug, you know? I often say, like, social media has turned us into this booty pat society where everybody yearns for external validation. Never in the history of humanity has deplorable behavior been rewarded by attention to the extent that people will go out of their way to be the biggest piece of shit on purpose to get that attention. So, bro, internet's like a mycelium. We are connected. It's we can tap into that energy just like you did with some positivity and say, you don't have an ego anyway. Like, let that
Share
be your
it. Let's use
motivation.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I got you. And so we take away that whole putting people on pedestals and turning them into gods, because we all are at the end of the day. I mean, that's my take on it anyway. I put this comment up here because the homie Daniel, he put me on a long time ago because I was still living in Virginia and I was in there going ham about ecosystems and Boost being a Rio fight. I'm not gonna start. Now everybody's gonna Google that, and you're gonna see all the people in the Boost videos putting that shit in their videos now. Sons of bitches. But it's a specialized. Yeah. But either way, and he was like nailing all these questions and stuff, and he won this giveaway I did, and ever since then, he's been a supporter. Like, I don't know, I had fell asleep watching TV on the couch and my phone just started going because all these people subbed at one time because he had gave me a shout out on one of his YouTube videos back in the day, and it was cool. Ever since then, he been bro. Yep. So appreciate you for pulling up, bro. Like, that's real. So back to the database and its significance, right? And I'll show you. I'll give you some direction. You're talking about the aquaponic systems, the schools, etc., right? Mm-hmm. So when I was in the DR visiting family, I did the video over at Robert Pett. Shout out to them. Y'all go check out that video if you want to see what I'm talking about. But I went on a little mini explanation of what you do, the aquaponic systems, etc. They had some cool setups in the back where they just had a philodendron. They had some iridescent sharks, some older goldfish that have been picked on, but they were older and not display, but needed homes. And they had it rolling with just regular pumps, regular circ pumps. Easy setup, but the growth of those philodendrons and plants. And we talked about this backstage of watering shit down, insulting people's intelligence. Like, we're not doing that. So that those plants are heavy nutrient feeders. They're damn near like pothos when it comes to they're nitrite vacuums. And the growth and the root mass of these plants and those just straight up, it was like, so I got some tomatoes in this one and a whole bunch of other stuff because I just got tired of it, and I just was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it because you can. I know you can, because dude, if you can grow a bucket in a fish tank, it's the same thing. All right. And I'm going to start merging. There's so many memes floating around on the internet talking about if rednecks, black folks, Hispanics, and Asians stuck together in a civil war or something like that, dude, gatekeeper type shit, right? Okay, cool. Here's my point for bringing that up. You can get on YouTube right now and go look at them videos with the preppers. Then the rednecks over here, they homestead and they got chickens and dogs and shit. Then you got the urban cats over here. They doing what they do with the tactical gear and their guns and shit. But everybody got the same idea. But America being the beautiful amalgam of culture that it is, everybody put their different tastes on it, right? So I'm over here going, all them some bitches got fish tanks in some capacity though. If it's not like a stock tank with catfish they caught in it, like I'm seeing people that you would never think having fish. There's a dude with the 2+ million view video. He got a damn lobster from the grocery store and built a saga around this damn lobster he saved from the grocery store. Other than that, no fish tank. There's a dude that got a pet bass, and this pet bass started a journey for this guy
It's that
in
college
Alabama.
kid, right?
Huh?
That
Like,
college kid or a different one?
oh, him too. I'm like, you know what I'm talking about. There's people that you would never think with fish tanks, right? And I be finding them in my feed. The one dude I'm talking about, y'all know me in Alabama. But he started with a bass, and he started getting tanks. The bass, I think his name was Moby or something like that. But he building ponds and feeding the wildlife. He just grew it. Why? Because of the love he was getting from YouTube and other things that drive why we do what the hell we do. Beautiful. Love capitalism, right? So I'm seeing this. I'm like, we could band together. You know what I'm saying? You got this database over here. Rocks don't lie. People do. Meaning, documented. I mean, you know, I still can't figure out how these people deciphered Sumerian and, you know, hieroglyphics, etc., etc. But they said they did. So why not do the same? Write it all down then, right? So that's where I'm at with it. Everybody got their different taste on it. That's cool. Let's write it down and blend it together. You know what I'm saying? I think, like, you're already doing it. Look, like, this is a good example. The pen. All right? So, this is Pseudomugel ciendorsalis, or the Pacific blue-backed blue eye. Say that fast 10 times. It's in the video when I was fat. I think I'm going to do a why I was fat video. Just because I want to. I told you this documentary is for me. My YouTube channel, like all the years of it. So, how are you able to take something that people like doing, which is drawing, pair it with the hobby, which is aquarium fish, and then pair it with another hobby, which is craftsmanship, to make something tangible that you can have forever, that you can't kill, that you can pick up and touch, and you don't have to hang it on the wall? Like, do you see how many things you can buy?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot recently, and I think I'm only going to do a couple more designs before moving on to something else, just because I don't want people to get overwhelmed and try and buy all of it.
Right.
Because there is a lot to buy. There is a lot of consumerism, and I want to work with the artists in different ways, focusing more on storytelling, for example, making short animations, or have you ever seen like the short film competitions that they do?
Yes, I love
Something
them.
in that style. I know some of those are really, really good.
Oh my God. Yes.
The one with the rescued pit bull
Yeah.
makes me cry every time.
Man. We'll talk about that later, because I don't want to go out. I'm going to frequency. But yeah, art is beautiful though, right? Because
and I think it's so important to reach out to people, because as you were saying with like the guy who rescued the lobster, the pet bass, like that's another way where people say, oh, that's really pretty, and look more into it. And then all of a sudden, you know, they're looking into getting a fish tank. They're looking at these different species.
They start learning about our environment. Like, it was awesome. He started saying, you know, he had a biology background, I think. I don't want to misquote, but it was amazing what it does like to open up this natural curiosity that we all have, but it's unfortunate because the technology, and me and Jorge say it's the cool kids club, where you get these people that ain't never had no friends before, they ain't never felt love, and unfortunately they turn into jerks, you know, because you're unchecked, you turn into a keyboard warrior, you get all this clout, and you just turn into a jerk because like before you were like, I hate to say it, but you were a loser or something, you know, like people weren't finna rock with you like that. But now, you know, you got this gimmick, you know, you got the cool snake, the cool turtle, you got the cool fish, and you that dude for a little while. And unfortunately, some of them cats turn into jerks. So the side effect to that was people being reluctant to share their experiences because it didn't match up and they want to be ridiculed. So to destigmatize that, I think is gonna basically be pulling out the last block to open the floodgates to get people to participate in what you're doing, and more importantly, inspire other people to build more platforms like yours, because it's all about objectivity. So one of the reasons that I also asked you up and saying like working together is this. So my website that I just showed, the short excerpt, that is open source. I want people to contribute their experiences, whatever is tangible. And I set it up like that for a reason. And it's set up to where you can read the blogs. They're just inspirational pieces. Some of them, and then some of them is science. Some of them is conjecture. Some of them is both. You know, a little bit of everything. But to where you can leave your feedback on there, and it stays, and it's a dialogue. It's there for everybody to be included, and from that, more blogs come. Or hey, Steve, I wrote this. I got this. Maybe you would appreciate it. Would you publish it? Hell yeah, I'm gonna publish it. Send me that shit. Y'all know me. That right there. I think this is the habits that we want to interject because we have social media now. If that makes any sense. I'm gonna put your link up. Um, Real quick, I know a lot of people have questions. One of the biggest things that I know for sure is I'm not a scientist. I didn't go to college. I'm not an ichthyologist. Um, I can't speak Latin, you know. Snuffleupagus, fluffaluffagus, you know? And exactly. And nobody wants to feel like a dummy, you know. It's like I talked to my wife about this. I'm like, babe, it's human nature. Like people say, oh, I don't care what nobody else thinks. I said, it's impossible. Nobody wants to be viewed as less than in the eyes of another person, regardless of the relationship. So how do we embrace that? The fact that we know that, and make an inclusive environment to where, look, you might not be able to say Caricius auratus, but it's a goldfish, my love. You've been keeping them since you was 12. You 82. I know you learned something. Put it on there. And how can you, like, can you kind of guide them real quick into a way that they could do that? Just to kind of get that switch going for the people.
Yeah, so before that, I'm going to say two things. You don't need to submit with a picture. You do not have to have a research quality picture or something that you're trying to convince people to buy. A blurry picture of your tank is totally acceptable. If you have better pictures, they are welcome. But you do not need to submit with a picture, and they don't need to be high quality. You also don't need to be an expert. The whole point is to collect lots of information from lots of different people's experiences. You're not expected to know everything. Mistakes are okay, and that's why it operates on a Wikipedia principle, because no one person is going to get everything right all the time. So in order to submit something, you just go to the database, which you can find linked on my website. You can browse the database without an account, but you need to create an account to submit something. And then you can just go to any family that you see, click on it, and hit add a species. Then you just fill in the information that's there, and you click submit. That's it. If the species is already there, you go to the species page and click submit and edit, and then you can change any of the information that you think needs to be changed. And if there is a fish where the family isn't present, you scroll to the bottom of the homepage and you just hit add a family. So it's designed to be as intuitive as possible. All the buttons are like bright blue boxes. And of course, if there are any questions, feel free to just send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But if you're going to take one thing away from this, please be that I want to have your information in the database. I want to know the experiences you've had. I want to know the fish that you're keeping and the way that you're keeping them. So that's pretty much my big statement here.
No, it's a good statement. So what I'm over here doing off camera is I'm pulling up my Google Docs because I'm going to show y'all something. And this works for people who like Generation X type people and, you know, I guess millennials now. If you were in the 80s, you're a millennial all of a sudden. So, I'm pulling up my Google Docs and I'm going to pull up one that I already posted. Right here. Got it. Okay, so here, let me get up here with you. So right here, I'm going to pull this up, is a Google Doc from a blog that I wrote, and it should be published. So what I do is I just talk. I ain't even going to cap. Like, when I was in micro computer processing and all that other stuff, learning how to type and all that, man, we wasn't paying attention. We were back there playing spades and shit because it was boring. And then one of my teachers that was teaching like micro computer, he had the mug, and you know what was in the mug? It wasn't coffee. So either way, this is what I do. Let me see if I can make this larger. How about that? No. How about this? There. Is that? Yeah, that's way better. So I just click voice to type on here, and then I just go here, click this, and then you click that button, and you talk. And it puts it on there. And sometimes, like if I'm stuck, I do the click to talk. And I'm good to go after that. And it's just like keeping a journal, right? And that gives you something right there. You copy and paste that, and you put it on Lily's database. It gives you somewhere to share your stuff. Like, you can do this. I swear. You can pull up your phone, open notes on Android, whatever device you got, and voice type it while you in your fish room, like what you observe. And you don't have to sound like a damn scientist. Just speak the language you speak. We'll figure it out. But the documentation and the sharing is the important part. Because this is objective peer review community. We're the peers. And I've said this before, I'm treating my YouTube channel like a science experiment. I make observations, I collect data, and I share with my peers. Who are my peers? My constituents, all you, my viewers, my subscribers, so on and so forth. And that's it. So, if you want to elaborate on that, please do. And I'm gonna make you the star one more time. There you go.
I was going to say, besides that, I don't really have much else to add on tonight's stream. I know it is getting late for some people, so I do want to be respectful of that. Glad we're on the same page then.
Yeah.
But that is a really good point. Is, you can put your ramblings in there too, and we can make sense of it. I can help if you send me pictures of written journals, if you send me voice notes. I can help put all of that information in the database too. On top of the database, am also a resource that you guys can use to contribute to this database, to contribute to conservation, and to contribute to information.
I think all her links are right here. There you go. So, for you guys that don't know, if somebody ever posts a link somewhere and you can't click it, you take a screenshot of it, all right? And then you open the screenshot and you long press the link and you'll get a little square and it should give you the option to open that link. That's just a little tip. Like when you go to like an Instagram post or a TikTok post and the link is in the little write-up part and you can't click it, take a screenshot of the whole thing. You can even do this in the comments too. Take a screenshot of the whole thing and then open the screenshot, long press the link, and it should give you the option to open that link. So, FYI, in the future. With that, I think we can wrap it up. I really appreciate you hopping on here to get this going. So this paired with the other stuff that we talked about on fish, plants, and moss, the research facility, natives, and the incorporation of art, science, and turning that into stewardship of our environment. So it's holistic, right? So I started thinking about water. We're 90 some odd % water, something like that. And there's all this goings on about microplastics and just environmental abnormalities in water. Okay, cool. Well, our fish live in water too. What if, and I'm just saying, what if you could eat, drink, bathe, clean your fish tanks, wash your clothes, water your garden, I don't know, do everything, all from the same water source with this much impact to the environment? If anybody plays with water a lot, it's us. There's a purpose right there. I'm growing tomatoes. I don't know what I'm going to plant next, but it's going to be some food. So that's food for thought for you guys. Stewardship. Go check out Fish Planty Moss so y'all can stay up to date with it. And if you don't have anything else, I don't have anything else. Something fishy is where you're going to find Lily on Instagram. And where else are you something fishy?
Facebook.
on Facebook. So those two is something fishy. So if you type in Lily Theology and you don't find her, don't get discouraged. It's something S dot something fishy. So y'all have a blessed night. Thank you so much again, Lily, for coming up. Um, this has been my official week back in the States. It's all good though. Going to the jungle again. I like being wild. So y'all have a blessed one. Thank you guys. And y'all have a good night. I'm out.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.